Mr. Director, worry not. We'll make sure your agency is adequately funded. As Americans, do we get to pick and choose which laws we want to follow?
We do not.
If you're a state court judge, do you get to decide you don't want to follow federal law?
Senator, I do not know that settlement was reached in the prior administration.
Who made the decision?
The prior Department of Justice.
Who in the prior Department of Justice? The FBI had had the laptop for 10 months, hadn't they? Mr. Director, worry not. We'll make sure your agency is adequately funded. This judge you arrested in Wisconsin, she was breaking federal law, wasn't she?
Yes, that's why we arrested her.
She was helping an illegal immigrant escape being taken into custody. Is that right?
Yes, and the field agents decided to open the case, work the case.
And as Americans, do we get to pick and choose which laws we want to follow?
We do not.
If you're a state court judge, do you get to decide you don't want to follow federal law?
No.
And if you violate federal law, you get arrested, don't you?
Yes, Senator.
That's called equal treatment under the law, isn't it?
Yes, Senator.
You remember Lisa Page and Peter Strzok, don't you?
Yes, Senator.
Mr. Strzok worked for the FBI. Mr. Strzok worked for the FBI. I think Ms. Page worked for Justice. The Inspector General found in its investigation that they hated President Trump and they really wanted Secretary Clinton to win. Is that true?
That's correct, sir.
And this would be the same same Ms. Page who sent an email to Mr. Strzok with whom she was having an affair. Trump's not ever going to become president, right? Right? And Mr. Strzok with the FBI, senior official at the FBI replied, quote, no, he won't. We'll stop it. Did I read that correctly?
You did, Senator.
Okay. Now, Ms. Page got quit before she could get fired. Mr. Strzok was fired. And predictably, they filed a lawsuit because in Washington, it's easier to divorce your spouse than it is to fire a federal employee. Why did the FBI give Mr. Strzok $1.2 million and Ms. Page $800,000 to settle a lawsuit?
Senator, I do not know that settlement was reached in the prior administration.
Who made the decision?
The prior Department of Justice.
Who in the prior Department of Justice?
The settlement for that kind of case can only come from the Attorney General, which would be Attorney General Merrick Garland.
So the Attorney General decided to give Mr. Strzok $1.2 million and Ms. Page $800,000 after they were fired after actively interfering in the 2016 election. Is that right?
My understanding is that was a settlement they agreed to.
Pass me the sick bucket, please. The Hunter Biden laptop. In October of 2016, shortly before the election, the New York Post wrote a story that was widely covered talking about Mr. Hunter Biden's influence peddling scheme based on his laptop. A couple of weeks later, Secretary of State, soon to be Secretary of State, Antony Blinken, organized a group of 51 so-called intelligence experts. Had some real rock stars on the list. Jim Clapper, John Brennan, Michael Hayden, Leon Panetta, and they said, oh, no, the story in the New York Post is not true. It's based on Russian disinformation. You remember that?
I do, Senator, as the lead investigator for Russiagate for the House Intel Committee.
Yeah. The FBI had had the laptop for 10 months, hadn't they?
They did, Senator.
So the FBI knew right before the election that it wasn't Russian disinformation, didn't they?
And that was confirmed by the Inspector General's report.
Yeah. Who at the FBI refused to let the FBI tell the American people the truth?
I don't have that name in front of me, sir.
Well, would you look?
I will, sir.
I'd like to know. I'd like a name, not a division. I'd like the name. Person with a brain and a beating heart.
Yes, sir.
Did Jeffrey Epstein hang himself or did somebody kill him?
Senator, I believe he hung himself in a cell in the Metropolitan Detention Center.
Are you going to release all the information about that?
Senator, we are working through that right now with the Department of Justice.
When do you think you'll have it done, Kash?
I think in the near future, sir.
Like before I die?
Senator, we've been working on that, and we're doing it in a way that protects victims and also doesn't put out into the ether information that is irrelevant for production of the public, such as CSAM.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Senator Reid.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Director. As you're well aware, DOJ.
This captures a tense moment in a U.S. Senate oversight hearing where a senator questions the FBI director about whether federal law is applied equally in America. On the surface, it sounds like routine government business. In reality, it's a direct challenge to the credibility of the FBI and the Department of Justice. The senator's tone is sharp, sarcastic, and skeptical, signaling that this isn't about curiosity, it's about accountability. The central theme running through the exchange is simple but explosive. Laws are only meaningful if they apply to everyone, especially those in power. The senator begins by discussing the arrest of a state court judge in Wisconsin. According to the director, the judge was arrested for helping an illegal immigrant evade federal custody. The senator presses the director to confirm that the judge broke federal law and that the FBI acted appropriately. Step by step, he establishes agreement on a basic principle. Americans do not get to choose which laws they follow, and judges are not exempt from federal law. This opening is intentional. It lays the groundwork for what the senator will later argue, that ordinary citizens and even judges face consequences, while powerful federal officials often do not. The focus then shifts to Peter Strzok and Lisa Page, two senior government officials involved in the FBI and Department of Justice during the 2016 election. The senator reminds the room that Inspector General investigations revealed the two openly despised Donald Trump and wanted Hillary Clinton to win. Their private text messages showed explicit political bias, including statements suggesting they would stop Trump from becoming president. The senator emphasizes that this was not speculation, but documented fact, confirmed by internal investigations. What angers the senator most is what happened next. Lisa Page resigned before she could be fired, while Peter Strzok was terminated. Both later sued the government, and the Department of Justice settled the lawsuits by paying Strzok over $1 million and Page hundreds of thousands more. The senator frames this as an insult to the idea of justice. Officials who interfered in an election were not punished, but rewarded with taxpayer money. His sarcasm peaks here, portraying Washington as a place where it is easier to end a marriage than to fire a federal employee. The hearing then moves to the Hunter Biden laptop controversy, just before the 2020 election. The senator recalls how the New York Post published a story alleging influence peddling based on the contents of Hunter Biden's laptop. Shortly after, a group of 51 former intelligence officials publicly dismissed the story as Russian disinformation. These weren't obscure names. They included some of the most powerful figures in U.S. intelligence history. The statement effectively shut down public discussion of the story during a critical moment in the election. The senator then delivers the key revelation. The FBI had possessed the laptop for nearly 10 months at that point and knew it was real. The inspector general later confirmed it was not Russian disinformation. This raises the most dangerous question of the hearing. Who inside the FBI prevented the truth from being shared with the American public? The senator refuses vague answers. He demands a name, emphasizing that real decisions are made by real people, not faceless departments. In the final moments, the conversation turns to Jeffrey Epstein. The senator asks the question many Americans still wonder about. Did Epstein kill himself, or was he killed? The director states he believes Epstein committed suicide, but acknowledges that information is still being reviewed. When asked when the public will finally see all the facts, the answer is cautious and bureaucratic, citing victim protection and the need to avoid releasing harmful material. The senator's frustration is clear, ending the exchange with dark humor about whether the truth will come out before he dies. Taken together, this is not just about individual cases. It is about trust in institutions and whether the rule of law truly applies equally. The senator argues that the FBI and DOJ aggressively enforce laws against some while shielding others, particularly those aligned with political power. The director, meanwhile, represents the system, measured, careful, and resistant to full transparency. The unresolved tension between those two positions is the point. The scene leaves the audience with a lingering question. If justice is selective, can it still be called justice at all?